What's up, guys? Welcome to Project Freelance, your podcast. This is literally your podcast. I'm giving it to you for free. I hope you are enjoying the podcast. If you are new, if you have no idea what you've clicked on, well, hi, my name is Kay. Welcome to my podcast. It is called Project Freelance. In this podcast, what I want to do is give you guys the knowledge that I've gained over the past couple of years in the industry of photography, film, music, just, a lot of creative industries. And I am going to have a bunch of guests on season 2, but I don't really know if I want to do it by season or just keep running it by episode. So let me know what you guys think. And also, little tidbit of information, I posted a little speed edit on my Instagram today, as well as on my website, Canon Photography, for both Instagram and just added .com on the end of that. All the links are in the notes below this podcast. And if you have been listening to the podcast and you like it, or if this is your first time and you dig it, please go down, just scroll down, just under the podcast, give it a rating, give it 6 out of 5 stars. You know what I mean? Give it a review. It helps me out, helps the podcast grow so that more people can hear it and more people can grow as creators, just like you. So let's get started. This week, I want to talk about buying gear. And I know a lot of people have been requesting that I talk about what gear you should buy, what camera you should buy. And this is these are the most common questions that I feel a lot of us creators get. Just because, people don't know where to start, and they like our work and they want our advice because, I don't know, they trust our advice, or I don't know. Whatever reason, people want to know what gear I use, and people want to know what gear like my friends use and what people I follow use, which is super cool, but that's not what this podcast is about. I'm not going to tell you what gear to get. And I don't know if I will make a podcast about it, because the whole podcast would basically be me saying, it doesn't matter what gear you have. It's how you use your gear. Like if you have a cell phone, which I'm assuming you do. I don't think people really call them cell phones anymore. I think they just call them iPhones or Androids. Pretty sure cell phone is out. But anyway, if you have one of those telecommunication devices, you can literally start making content right now. And yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous. And as a concert photographer in particular, I'm not telling you to take your phone out at a concert and start trying to take pictures, because, nobody's going to appreciate that. Which, I would hope that you are courteous enough to realize that, putting a phone in someone's face is not fun. But regardless, if you have even if you have a phone, you can start making content and you can grow from there. And just keep that in mind as you go through your career. Like, don't focus so much on the gear, focus on what you're creating, and pick up the gear as you go. Not to say that I don't love gear, because I am a huge gear nerd, so yeah, there's that. But if you happen to be looking for some gear that's affordable, and if you don't have any local camera rental or brick and mortar stores, you can actually just go to Walmart. It's really not that hard to find camera gear these days, because everybody wants to be a photographer, filmmaker, and kudos to you for that. But I have a custom little list of camera gear that's affordable that you can actually get at Walmart, that I think it's things that I think are necessary that you might want to have in your camera bag. It's things like, lenses, batteries, all kinds of little bundles that you might not know exist. So if you guys want to check it out, links in the description. So I want to start featuring some of you guys on my website. I post blogs and I send them out to my mailing list with all kinds of information. And I want to start featuring some of you guys, because I've seen some of the work you guys have DM'd me or tagged me in on Instagram or Twitter or wherever you've tagged me. I've seen your stuff, and I feel like, I don't know, I want to share your stuff. And so I think I'm gonna start doing that. So if you guys want to, head over to my Instagram. I already told you what it is. It's in the downstairs area. But yeah, go over there, DM me or leave me a comment or tag me in a photo or something, and I'll let you know. If I pick you. And thank you in advance for wanting to be a part of it. Well, I hope you do, but hey. All right, on to gear. On to buying gear. So this podcast, I really want to talk about buying used gear versus new gear and, the pros and cons of each. And it's really, this is a topic that, again, is all up to you. It's personal preference, whether you choose to buy brand new gear. Also, if you have the funding to buy brand new gear, that's also obviously that's going to be a huge topic in this podcast. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start with, I'm just going to go ahead and start. So I actually got my first camera used from a photographer that I was assisting. I think I've told this story before in a podcast, but my first gig was shooting for a photographer that shot for Evo magazine, which is a British motorsports magazine. So I was living in Dubai, and so we went out in the desert and like raced these Maserati. It was insane. It was crazy. But he like gave me his other camera. So I started out with a used camera. So I just came into the industry that way. And I feel like that's the case for a lot of, I don't want to say real photographers, but real photographers. I feel like somewhere in our lives, a vast majority, I'm not talking about everybody, obviously, but a vast majority of us, I feel like at some point we got our hands on a camera, didn't realize what it was going to be to us. And then we grow up and we're obsessed. And I think that's kind of my story. When I was a kid, I stole my family's home video camera and would film skits in the garage with myself, that's just what I did. And I didn't really realize or think anything of it, obviously, because I was a kid just goofing off. Until, I started thinking about it a couple years ago, and I was like, maybe that's when I like picked it up. I don't know. But I don't know, kind of a cool story. But yeah, so this photographer gave me his second camera, and we had a falling out, and I ended up, moving away with my dad to finish my bachelor's degree in film production in Australia. And when I went there, I wanted a camera that could shoot video as well, because at the time, my Nikon D3000 or whatever, I don't even remember what it was, but that camera didn't shoot video. So I wanted to get something that shot video. And because I was studying at SAE Institute in Australia, there were other filmmakers, and there were, audio engineers and game designers and animators, all kinds of people. And so I just asked around if anybody was trying to sell some camera gear. And this guy, approached me, and he said that he had a Canon 6D that shot video, and like, he told me the specs. And this was when I was still like getting to know specs of cameras and like what I wanted and what I thought was like good or not. So, I thought it over, and he let me use the camera for a couple days, and I loved it. So I grabbed it, and on I went. I sold my Nikon because I was like, well, I'll just use one camera, and I'll use the money for whatever, for a lens or something. I don't remember what I got, but that's just how I started. I feel like that's the easiest way to get started. And yeah, some people are fortunate enough to, be able to afford brand new gear right off the bat. But I feel like a lot of amateur photographers, if you guys are, still living with your family, and your family is, supporting you financially still, and you can get a camera, that's super cool. But I don't know, if your family isn't ready to drop $4,000 on a brand new, like, high-end DSLR camera, yeah, maybe get something used. It doesn't make you any less of a photographer to have used gear. And I feel like a lot of people feel that way. And I feel like a lot of people, it's so weird to say there's like judgment among the photographers in the community, but I mean, there's always drama in whatever community or work field you're in. But we tend to treat other photographers who use certain types of cameras differently. For example, there's the Canon versus Nikon team. So, I mean, I'm team Canon and team Sony. That A7S life. Oh my God, Sony. I love you. I mean, if you guys, I don't know. If you haven't used a Sony A7S, here's what I want you to do. Go to a camera gear rental place in your city, in your town. And if you don't have one of those, you can actually go online. There's a couple websites you can actually rent camera gear from. I mean, you've got borrowlenses.com, and they're, one of the top ones. They've got low pricing. So, I mean, that's super helpful. There's so many companies you could go with. Lens Rentals is another one that's pretty high up on that list. I like Lumoid.com. I know they've got I think, can you rent from B&H yet? I don't really know, but if anybody knows, let me know. Because I'm kind of curious. Not that I need to rent from there. I have a place locally that I go to. If you're ever in Southern California, Orange County, and you need some gear, you should go hit up Pro Photo Rental. It's in Irvine. I've been going there for like 3 years, and they are, super cheap. They've got studios that you can rent out for the day. All kinds of gear. They're super, super great. Super great. So yeah, but if you don't have access to a place like, Pro Photo Connection or Sammy's Camera or, the other very well-known, like storefronts, if you will, brick and mortar stores, where you can get camera gear, you can definitely go online. There's ways, guys. So, don't make excuses if you don't have a local store, because I just gave you the answer. And I'll put those links in the description so you guys don't have to go hunting for everything. I just, want to make it convenient for you to go check this stuff out. And just not that I need to tell you guys, but like, this isn't paid or sponsored or anything like that by any of these brands, but this is just stuff that like, I feel like it's necessary for you to know. And I don't know, I wish I knew this stuff when I started. So I feel like it's important to, tell you guys about stuff like that. So yeah. Point 1, get some gear, use some gear, play around. So, and the reason I say that is because I don't want you to just drop a bunch of money on something that you don't really know how to use, or that you might not enjoy using, or it just might not do exactly what you want. So it's really, really beneficial to definitely test out and rent some gear and, get to know what toys are involved. It's basically, I don't know. It's like going to a toy store. I don't know. I love gear. It seems so nerdy, and it is, but you know what? I feel like all of us, or most of us creators, were just the nerdy kids in school, and we, we did it. We made it. We won, guys. We won. So another reason to get used gear is, when you're starting out, you might not understand how fragile camera gear is until you start breaking it, and it is devastating. It's like, that feeling when you have to force shut down your Mac computer. It's worse than that feeling, you guys. It's seriously worse than that feeling, which sounds crazy because you're like, oh my God, but all my work is on my laptop. Yeah, but listen, without a camera, you can't make more work. So, dropping gear is something that happens. I mean, I drop gear all the time. Oh my God. Lenses fall out of my bag, like on a daily basis, almost. I don't know how other photographers do it. And I have like a proper bag, and I just still, I'm clumsy, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that is the answer to that. But obviously used camera gear, you don't have to feel so bad, I guess, about dropping it or breaking it. I mean, I feel bad if I drop my phone, or I feel bad if I drop a glass. I know. I feel bad if I don't know. I just feel bad. I don't like breaking things ever. And camera gear, it's like breaking your tools. The tools are your trade, man. And the worst part is that our tools are extremely expensive. We have some of the most expensive gear to buy out of, I feel like out of like any, I don't want to say any creative field, because, there's shit out there that's more expensive, but I feel like we have one of the more expensive industries. I mean, a camera lens for $20,000. Why? What is the purpose? Can somebody just show me an example of a photo? And I mean, here's the thing. I've seen them. I've seen the photos. The photos are sick. But you know what? I'm sure you could get the same photos with a lens that's not $20,000. I mean, what do you need to shoot that is 2,000 millimeters? Like, oh, what? That just seems so ridiculous to me. And I mean, I'm on Google now because I got curious. There is a Canon cinema zoom lens for $42,750. No big deal. Oh, you could also rent it. I wonder how much it would be to rent that lens. Can you imagine if you, oh God. Oh, here we go. Check this out. Now I'm just on the internet and I feel like I need to share this with you. So I'm looking up these expensive lenses, right? And I'm gonna link this. I'm gonna link this article below because the headline's hilarious. American Airlines drops photographer's $20,000 camera kit. Oh my God, that poor person. Holy crap. No, thank you. I am good. I will carry my own stuff. Thanks. Wow. $20,000. Oh my God. That's crazy. That is crazy. What would you buy with $20,000? Like for camera gear specific, or like whatever it is you do. If you're a musician, what would you buy with $20,000? What would you do with that money? Would you use it to go on tour? Would you use it to buy gear, to get an album recorded? What would you do with that 20 grand? I want to know. I want to know what it is you do as well. So yeah. Use camera gear, man. Don't go spend $20,000 right off the bat. It's ridiculous. Even if you're Elon Musk's kid, look, I know there's like 7 of you guys. I know you're never going to hear this podcast, but like you're going to hear this podcast one day. Don't even worry about it. You're going to hear it. But listen, even if you have that kind of money, don't buy a $20,000 lens right off the bat, because you're probably going to drop it and break it. And then you're going to just, you know, if you do have that kind of money, you're just going to be kind of upset about breaking it. But I mean, come on, 20 grand for, oh my God, I'm going to stop talking about that. So I don't know. I can't say enough about buying used gear. I just think it's the best way to start out, and it's really not that hard. And, you know, you can convince your parents, I feel, to rent some gear, because that, you know, that keeps them from having to try to figure out what kind of camera to get like you for Christmas. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't want to tell you guys like, here, I was going to do an episode on like camera gear you could get for Christmas for your photographer friends. Like if you guys want me to do that, I will. But like, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. So enough about used gear. Let's talk about the new. Let's talk about that new. Okay. Camera gear. New camera gear. Oh my God. There's nothing better than that feeling of having a package arrive and opening that package and seeing that sleek, beautiful, shiny box with your whatever the hell it is that you ordered in it. There's nothing better than that feeling. And it's also great to, you know, hold a new piece of camera gear and say, I am the first person to use this, which sounds ridiculous. But trust me, if you start out with used gear and finally get your first piece of like brand new, proper, professional gear, you're never going to want to buy used gear again. But you will, because as a freelancer, you know, there's going to be good times and bad times with money. For example, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. You know, I haven't had like a gig, like I haven't gone and like worked for a company or anything in like 2 months. I mean, I'm doing something this Wednesday, but I mean, you guys, it's really real. It's really real. That's the kind of shit that we deal with. You know, our income fluctuates, our jobs fluctuate, but because I haven't, you know, been doing professional work for companies and things like that, it's given me time to work on personal projects. So, I mean, I'm not really too upset about it. Yeah, it does suck that I haven't been making money, and I dealt with this situation that I'm going to talk about at a later date. So even as a freelancer, you're not always going to be able to buy brand new gear until you get to a certain point where, you know, you get to pick and choose what jobs you do, which is ultimately the goal of, I feel, every entrepreneur, freelancer, whatever it is. I feel like, you know, that's the ultimate goal, to get to the point where you work whenever you want or need to. And that's kind of what I want to do. But I think I'm going to keep making personal projects. I'm just talking about things that are like paid projects. When you get to a certain point, you get to start choosing what jobs you take. But other than that, you know, getting new gear, I think for a lot of us, it's a very emotional, you know, it's a very, I don't know, it kind of makes you proud, you know, when you get that brand new piece of gear. Like, you accomplished something, you accomplished enough to where you could get that. Like, you earned that yourself. I think that's what it really is. It's a very psychological, mental kind of thing that we go through, but I think it's, it's a huge part of creating things, getting new gear. I mean, it's like every time I get a new piece of gear, even though I ordered it for myself, it's like somebody gifted it to me. And it's, I don't know. It's just so gratifying to know that you can make it in this industry. You can conquer it. And it's hard as hell. It is hard as hell. I'm not going to lie to you or sugarcoat it. It's hard as hell. But it's super worth it because, you get to just make stuff all the time. New stuff. Like, I didn't know I was going to make a podcast. If I had a normal job, I don't know, I probably wouldn't be making this podcast. I probably wouldn't be making videos or as many videos. I don't know what I would be doing, you guys, but I feel like at this point I can't do anything else. I can't stop, can't turn around. Got to keep going forward. But yeah, definitely the feeling of getting new gear is, there's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it. And it makes you appreciate the work. It makes you appreciate the hustle and the blood, sweat, and tears and the endless tears and people screwing you over. And, it makes it worth it. It makes it worth it. And the art we create and the people we meet and the community we're a part of, it all makes that worth it. But I don't know, if you asked me as a beginning photographer that has never picked up a camera, what camera I recommend you get, it depends. Honestly, it depends on what you're wanting to do. Are you wanting to do like little YouTube vlogs that you could get away with like using a small camera with? Are you wanting to do professional stuff with a DSLR? It just depends. But Canon has a lot of stuff that is good, like little point and shoot cameras that do video and all that stuff. There's a lot of really, really good ones out right now. I know that they've got like the Canon Power Shots, which are literally handheld, like you can fit them in your pocket kind of cameras. That was actually my first point and shoot. My first point and shoot was a Canon Power Shot. So what's up, Canon? Canon for life. So they've got, pocket-sized things. There's all kinds of brands, obviously, but I'm just kind of telling you what I had. So I had a Canon point and shoot camera, but I didn't consider that a professional camera, but obviously. So you've got that kind of stuff. And then Canon also has the Rebel. So you have the Canon Rebel T3i, T5i. I don't even know. There's so many of them. But those are pretty reasonably priced. I mean, like the older models, obviously. I recommend getting a Canon 6D. Honestly, I love that thing. I still have it and I still use it. Not as much as my Sony, but I mean, I love it. And if you are a little more experienced and you're trying to step it up and you're trying to figure out what gear you want next, and if you're on the fringe about what I was on the fringe about, moving from one brand, one company that you're loyal to and trying out another company, I went from Canon to Sony, and that doesn't mean that I don't like Canon. I still use all of their lenses. I have a Metabones adapter on my Sony so that I can use EF mount lenses. I mean, I love Canon. I think they make great products. But when this Sony came out, my friend Bryce Hall actually let me use his Sony on a shoot we did together, and I loved it, obviously. And it didn't take a whole lot of convincing to get me to grab one before Warped Tour this past summer. So I don't know. I did a ton of research. That's the thing. Like, before you buy gear, obviously do your research. Obviously, I don't know. I think you should rent gear regardless, or even borrow a friend's camera if they'll let you. But you guys, there's seriously so many ways to get started with this stuff. And I feel like most of the time people just make excuses because they're A, lazy, B, just, I don't even know, lack the work ethic, or I don't know. There's a million excuses people come up with, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to, do you want it badly enough, or are you just like, yeah, photography's cool and stuff. Like, music's cool and stuff. I like playing guitar sometimes, but like, yeah. You guys have to let me know if you guys are liking these. I want to know. Let me know in the comments. Like I said, follow me on the social media at K-Anagonia Photography. And don't forget, tag me in your posts. I want to feature some of you guys on my website. I have an exciting little feature coming out today, actually, with this podcast, pretty much. So I explored an abandoned insane asylum in Baltimore, Maryland on Thanksgiving. My abandoned exploration videos, if you guys don't know about my YouTube stuff or my film stuff, I do a lot of urban exploration where I go into abandoned buildings and I kind of make like a short film documentary kind of thing out of the experience there. So the most recent one is 25 minutes long, and that's extremely long, but I had so much fun editing the video, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of footage, but I'm gonna use most of it. So if you guys want to check that out, I will put a link to that below. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Project Freelance. Go check out the other ones. If you are not subscribed to this podcast, please subscribe, and don't forget to rate it down below. Thank you guys, and I will see you. No, I won't. I will not. I will talk to you guys next week. Later.